Evening all, Stephen here, welcome back to my fireside. Excuse me a second. Hope you're all well this Saturday evening. Smoking my dance club once again with some Boswell's Bear Blend. And I'm drinking some once again Young's London Special Ale. Special London Ale. What's in a name? Excuse me once more. I wasn't actually going to put up a video tonight. Sorry if I'm turning my back on you, it's extremely rude. See if I can get it going. Yeah. Wasn't going to do a video this weekend, haven't been feeling too good. Haven't been feeling too well. But then I happened to notice that today is a special day in the Beer Beard calendar. It's my 1 year anniversary on the tube. It was a year ago today that that quaking young man, or young by a year younger than today, put together his introduction to the YTPC and stuck it up there, so to speak. And here I am, a year on, still going. Thanks to you lot. I've got around 350 subs at the moment, which I know, I remember when I hit 30 subs, I thought this is as good as it gets. So that's incredible, 350, I'm really pleased with that. Still get a real buzz out of doing it. Don't do it as often as I'd like to. There's an obvious joke there, but I'm going to lift myself above it and not stoop that low. So yeah, it's 1 year anniversary today on the YTPC. Happy anniversary to me. I hope you'll lift a glass with me, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whatever day it happens to be that you watch this. Cheers. As I say, I'm not feeling 100%. Haven't been for a few days now. So I'm self-medicating. I'm smoking a pipe more out of for appearance sake than anything else, because at the moment everything tastes pretty disgusting. Got a really bad, horrible taste in my mouth and just can't seem to clear it. So everything tastes a bit harsh and smoky. I shouldn't have inhaled that. But you have to soldier on, don't you? And yeah. Anyway, I'm really waffling here, even more than usual. But yeah, I wanted to put this one up because it's the 1 year today. And I don't know when I'll get round to doing one again. So, here I am. Lost, I mean, I love this. My girls bought it for me last Christmas. It's a Passatori pipe tool. It's very nice, a very solid piece of kit. 3-in-1, you know. But most of my videos you'll have seen me using my bamboo tamper. And I've lost it. I really love that, so I'm going to have to buy myself another one. Man's best friend. We haven't got so many fireworks tonight. There's been a few going off, but it's not the artillery barrage that we had last weekend, so he's fairly happy. Although he did ate his lunch today, and then I went out in the kitchen later on and found out he'd honked it all up again. So, but he's had his dinner, so you'll be pleased to know he's keeping that down. Hope you're all well. What am I listening? Oh, I've got it. I'm listening to Hawkwind. I don't know how big they were outside the UK. So put together in the late 60s, and they were sort of forerunners of the whole psychedelic space rock type thing. This is one of their early albums. I only saw them play live once, and that was the only time that I've spent all 3 days at a 3-day festival. I've been to other festivals since, but not for the full weekend, and I haven't been to one for a long while because, you know, if you're going to Glastonbury these days, you're talking about serious money, hundreds and hundreds of pounds. But where I saw them, it was the classic lineup when Lemmy was still with them. It was at a festival in May 1972, so I'd have been 16. And it was held in all places. It was a little town, a mining town up north called Bickershaw, just outside Wigan in the English northwest. Not where you expect to have a music festival, but they put together a hell of a lineup for it. I'm going to take my hat off because I'm getting a bit warm now. Yeah, hell of a lineup. They had the Kinks, Hawkwind, Captain Beefheart, the Incredible String Band, New Riders of the Purple Sage, Country Joe McDonald, Dr. John, and the whole thing was headlined on the Sunday by the Grateful Dead, who did about like a 5-hour set. That must have been a real culture shock for them, coming from California to Wigan in May. So I was 16, and at the time I was living out in Bedfordshire. And we used to go to, every week there was this thing called the Blues Club in our local market town, and it was just basically a guy playing rock records, and us hippies and freaks and hairies and whatever you want to call us would just stand around nodding our heads in pitch dark, or not pitch dark, but pretty dark, because I mean that was the appropriate way to listen to it, wasn't it? And although it was called the Blues Club, yeah, it was all psychedelic stuff. So he'd play whole sides of albums like Sauce Full of Secrets by the Floyd and one thing and another. And when this festival was announced in the music press, he was looking for people, because he was a bit older than us. We were only 16, he was in his early 20s. He was going to go up to the festival, and he wanted to know if any of us wanted to go as well. And it was dirt cheap. It was a couple of pounds for a ticket. And so we went. Him, and there was me and 2 of my mates. And we packed into his minivan. Now, when I say minivan, I'm talking about, you know, the British 1960s Mini. Very small car. Not the modern version, the 60s version. Well, this was a van version of that, so the back seats were taken out and there was a back on it to make a van. The thing was still tiny. I mean, minis were tiny. I had one when I learned to drive. And this van was extremely tiny. I'm going to try and put a couple of pictures in here to show you, and which will hopefully give you some idea of the scale of this vehicle. If they don't appear, you know I haven't been successful in inserting the pictures, but I'll have a bash anyway. So, pause. And you're back in the room. Did you see them? So there was him driving. One of us used to take it in turns to sit in the other front seat, and that was, you could only get two in the front, and the other two were sitting crouched up in the back for the couple of 100 miles from Bedfordshire up to Wigan. And we got there. There was no separate campsite or anything like that. You just dossed down in the arena itself. And I remember we got there, we had no food with us. And outside the arena, the Children of God, who were one of the hippie Christian sects at the time. I don't know if they're still going. If you went along and said a prayer with them, you got a bowl of soup. So that's what we did. I'll pay for it in the afterlife. And then we were inside the arena and we set up a pretty manky tent, which really wasn't any tent at all. And one of us, my arty mate Mick, he'd made this like Buddhist flag and whatever, and we stuck a pole in the ground and had the flag at the top of it. And there we pretty much stayed for the 3 days. I didn't wash or clean my teeth for 3 days. Not that there was anywhere to do it. Being outside Wigan in May of the year, it pissed with rain most of the time we were there. The site that had been chosen was hugely inappropriate. It already had standing water on it, and basically everything just turned to chaos. Absolutely poured down for most of the time and made things even worse. The toilets collapsed in to the pits beneath them after the first day or so. And so after that you just found whatever bush you could find to do whatever you could do. And we lay there in our filth and squalor for 3 days. Some absolutely amazing music. I remember Hawkwind because they had a fantastic light show as well. And I remember Captain Beefheart and the incredible string band. I remember them. Now the reason I'm saying this, I don't remember because we were taking substances. And so there are certain memories that are still locked in here that I can't bring to light. On the Saturday in particular, I took some acid, and so that whole day sort of went very, very, very strange. And there were things for years afterwards that I could recall of that day that I don't know whether they actually happened or whether it was my brain, whether I was hallucinating basically, whether my drug-addled brain was imagining it. But I did find out subsequently, because of course with the advent of the internet and then you get people posting loads of memories of the festival, I did find out that a lot of the things I thought I must have imagined actually did take place. So yeah, that was something anyway. It was quite an experience. And I wish I remembered more of it, but there you go. They do say there's quite a lot of footage was shot. A couple of videos have been released, but they're very, very poor quality. I've got one of them. And I think it is rumoured that there's an awful lot of footage elsewhere, but for like all manner of copyright reasons, it's never been released. Cheers. So that was my one and only 3-day festival experience. I didn't even get to see the Grateful Dead because the guy that driven us up there had to be in work Monday morning. So by the time the Dead came on, we had to leave. Which is a great shame, because I would have loved to have been able to say that I'd seen them. A couple of other people that were apparently in the audience, which once again I didn't find out until much later with the internet days, were Joe Strummer of The Clash, a young man, he was there in the crowd, and Elvis Costello. And apparently it was Elvis Costello. It was watching the Grateful Dead's 5-hour set that set him on the road to forming his own band. That was what, you know, was the trigger point for him. I think it's all, I mean, I don't know, I haven't been to any festival, even for a day, for many, many years. It's all big business now, of course. Very commercialised. I'd still like to go to Glastonbury if I could find like the 500 odd quid that it would cost. And if I could get a ticket, because they're like gold dust, they get snapped up so quick. But then, back in 1972, it was a more innocent time. The people that had put this thing together really hadn't planned it very well. And for anyone from the UK watching, this won't mean anything to anyone outside the UK, but one of the organisers, the guy that was responsible for getting all the acts on board, signing them up, the whole art side of it, was a young bloke by the name of Doremi Fasol, who in the UK went on to become a television presenter on some quite cheesy programmes. But he was obviously a bit of a rock fan back then in the early 70s, and he was up in the northwest, and he actually put it all together. So there's a fun fact for you, UK viewers only. I've started to feel a bit better making this. It's having a chat, basically. I haven't seen anyone since last Saturday. So apart from exchanging a couple of words with other dog walkers, and I had to take the car in for its annual service yesterday, pay a king's ransom for that. But we have this thing in the UK every year, you have to have what we call an MOT test. Stands for Ministry of Transport. I mean, it hasn't been called the Ministry of Transport for years and years and years, but the abbreviation sticks. Not abbreviation, what's the word? The acronym. So it's the MOT test, and by law you have to have it done every year to make sure the car is roadworthy. So I had that done, and at the same time I had a service done on the car, because that car's going to last me either until the day I die or until the day I can no longer drive, whichever comes sooner. So on that cheerful note, I'm going to go. I hope you're all well. Thank you for all your support this past year. I really get a buzz out of it, I really do. You know, I'd put up one of these every night and talk for, I've said this before, half an hour at a time, but I feel like I'm talking to you, and it means a lot to me. So, I hope wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you and your loved ones are safe, well and warm at this wintry time of year. Chilly here today, as we say in the UK, cold enough to freeze the balls off a brass monkey. And that I'm able to speak to you again next weekend sometime. Thanks for watching all. Cheers and take care. Ta-da.